wrestling fans, and welcome to the Wrestle Story. Tonight's topics are
a new IC champion,
a big match set for WrestleMania,
a Shield member looking for revenge,
all that and more coming up. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Wrestle Story, where we discuss all things wrestling, the legends of the past, the superstars of the present, and the trailblazers of the future. We stream every Monday after Raw, every Tuesday after SmackDown, every Wednesday after NXT, and after every pay-per-view. We also do pre-shows usually on Fridays or Saturdays before a pay-per-view. And if we have news that comes up during the week, we will stream then also.
So make sure to subscribe and click the little notification bell so you will be notified when we go live or upload a video. Tonight is Monday, and we are talking about Monday Night Raw. There was a lot going on in tonight's show, actually, I thought.
Yeah, I thought it was a solid show, I thought.
Coming off of Fastlane, which was last night, which was actually a really good pay-per-view for what it is, for being the pay-per-view before WrestleMania.
I thought it was a good pay-per-view. The only issue I had with it was the fact that the storylines were not great.
Yeah. That would be the only thing about that pay-per-view that wasn't great.
They had good matches, just, storylines could have been a little better.
Yeah. So, Monday Night Raw. It was said earlier today that the Shield would be opening up Raw to give their farewell address. And they did. So they come out, Roman talks about last night and how if it was the last time that the Shield was going to get together ever, he has no regrets about it, and he wouldn't change anything. Then he talks about how Dean Ambrose has business that he's going to attend to, whatever that business is. He said he wasn't quite sure what it is, and he didn't really know if Dean knew exactly what that is, kind of hinting at his departure from WWE, is what I'm assuming he's talking about there.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that if he's truly going to leave, I don't think that Ambrose is leaving. I think this is all part of the storyline. I think they've propped this up too much.
Yeah.
To have it really be happening.
Yeah. So he talks about that, and then he says that Seth has business, chasing after the championship and going for the Universal title at Mania. Kind of with that, they haven't really been hyping that up too much. They kind of did some of that tonight, which we'll talk about in a minute. We'll talk about that now because Roman and Dean, then after Roman talked about that, Dean and Roman both left, and they left Seth in the ring to then get on the mic and talk about his Universal Championship match with Brock Lesnar, to which Paul Heyman came out, per usual, because Brock Lesnar wasn't there.
Shocking.
I know, right? Not. So
he will be there next week, according to what they were saying, though. So
yeah, according to Paul Heyman, he said that Lesnar will be there next week, which will be a big change.
Well, it's not really a big change. It's his once every 6 months show up on Raw appearance.
Yeah, per usual, I guess. The regular appearances for Lesnar.
Well, and I don't. This is what a lot of what I don't understand why they keep having him as champion. When you're not there, it really doesn't add to the storyline.
Not at all.
So
makes no sense to me whatsoever.
No, it is what it is.
So, Seth, then he mimics what Heyman normally does. He comes out and Heyman does his the reigning, defending Universal Champion. And then he goes on to talk about something else, but Seth interrupts him and then says it for him because he's like, Paul, you've been out here enough times with me now. I know exactly what you're going to say. I know exactly what you're going to do. You're going to stand here and tell me that Brock is not in the back because, he shows up every 6 months to defend his title or to talk about his title, and then he hops back on a plane and leaves.
it's the same storyline over and over again with him.
Yeah. So then Seth goes on to talk about how he has problems with guys like Seth. You know, he went through a list and he said he had matches with bigger guys, Samoa Joe and Jinder Mahal and people like that were bigger and more not tiny guys. And then he gets in the ring with, you know, Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, or those are just the two names that he threw out there. And he talks about how he has more trouble getting wins over them than when he is facing the bigger guys. That you would think he'd have more issues with them, but it's the opposite. He has issues with the smaller guys. And so he talks about having problems with him, and then you know, Paul Heyman says, "Why don't you tell the truth, Seth? Why don't you tell us the truth? The truth is, every time Lesnar has been in a situation with a match, the last minute, between 8 and 12 days before he is supposed to come out here and defend his title, the title will change hands, or the person gets injured so he can't wrestle them, or whatever the case may be. So that has nothing to do with my client. My client has to adjust and get ready to fight whoever he's going to fight. And if he's been said to fight, you know, AJ Styles or something, and then the championship changed hands to Daniel Bryan, and then he had a tougher time facing Bryan than he ever would have had with Styles, because Bryan is the smaller guy. And, you know, he went on and on about that, which I find very funny, and it kind of hints towards Seth maybe winning at Mania. With the fact that they're playing up this smaller guy. He has issues with smaller guys, and Seth is going to be that smaller guy who wipes him off his feet, wipes the floor with him, and then takes his title.
Well, I'm not sure where they're going with this. I mean, it's because you have the Shield that is kind of together. You have Drew McIntyre, who seems to be destroying the Shield. Mm-hmm. So I don't really know, you know, where they're going with any of this. And so we'll see what happens.
Exactly. So then we have a Brock Lesnar video package, because they got to get Brock Lesnar on the card sometime. As, you know, I've always said. He's got to make his money somewhere. When he's not on TV, they got to play video packages of him. And then after we get done with that video, Shelton Benjamin, who is on SmackDown, comes and attacks Rollins from behind.
Yeah, I mean, and it's all part of, since Shelton Benjamin was a
roommate with
Brock Lesnar,
in college.
You know, it kind of makes sense that they kind of brought him into this storyline.
But the way they're using him, it's odd, because they're saying that he's his trainer and he's his coach. It's not like they're friends or anything like that. It's literally like, he's like, oh, it's business only.
Well, I agree. I don't understand why they're doing that. It's kind of silly with doing it that way. They could have just said, hey, they were roommates.
Well, because everybody already knows that.
Well, yeah.
So it's not like it's like they're trying to hide something that people already know what's going on. You know, it makes no sense to me. So he attacks him from behind, and Shelton Benjamin is from SmackDown. At first, we looked at each other and we were like, is that Bobby Lashley? And then we were like, no, it's Shelton Benjamin. Got it. So he comes, attacks him, and then we go to commercial break and we come back, and it's Shelton Benjamin versus Seth Rollins in a match.
Yeah, there's a lot of the Shield getting attacked from behind tonight.
Yeah, a lot. So that's when they have Heyman on commentary, and he gets a phone call in the middle of it, and he gets off the phone and he says, I have just been informed that my client Brock Lesnar will be at on Raw next Monday to address Seth Rollins and address his Universal Championship match and la-di-da-di-da, you know. And then we have Seth Rollins get the win, and then Finn Balor comes out and while Seth is still standing in the ring, and then Seth walks up the ramp, and Finn is walking down the ramp for his match, which is next, and they just are like, hey, how's it going? High five, cool. I was like, what's the purpose? Why do we do that? They do that a lot, and I don't get why they do it.
I think it's more just to get the storylines going, and then you have the next match getting ready to go.
Well, I guess, but
so I don't think it's anything that, you know, is a big deal. It's just kind of the way they've been doing things.
Yeah. So then we have the Finn Balor versus Bobby Lashley for the Intercontinental title. So, the big spoiler alert, the title changed hands, and I was not very happy. I was like, what's the purpose? What is the purpose? So, in the middle of the match, Lio Rush comes down, and he rings the bell, and it distracts Finn Balor. And then Lio Rush tries to take a shot at Balor. He hits him, knocks him over, gets him out of the way. And then Lashley takes advantage off of the distraction, and he kicks Balor in the head and gets the win.
I hope ultimately what this is going to lead to is the Demon Finn Balor.
I hope so. I would like to see the Demon Finn Balor come back at Mania.
Yes.
I want him to fight for his title at Mania, and he needs to forget this Finn Balor he's got right now and just use the Demon. Do it on the grandest stage, the biggest stage that they're going to have, and just do it there. Bring it back.
I agree. I don't understand what they're doing with Bobby Lashley.
I don't either. They keep pairing him up with Lio Rush. Like, 1 minute they're like mad at each other, and then the next minute they're like, okay, we're cool. Like, we're gonna do this again, and we're gonna be buds. And then like they turn on each other again, and then they're like back together. I just don't.
Well, the whole thing is you've had Bobby Lashley with Drew McIntyre and Baron Corbin for a long time.
Last night I thought it was very funny that we didn't see Lio Rush at ringside.
Yeah.
For his match, which is why I was like, huh? Are they done?
Well, you really don't know where they're going with any storylines. I mean, none of the storylines really truly make sense.
No, not really. So then we have after Lashley wins the Intercontinental title, Lio Rush and Lashley celebrate in the ring. Woohoo! And then we have a backstage interview with Baron Corbin talking about his match later in the evening with Roman Reigns. And they show video footage of what he said before when Reigns first left and he had to give up his title, and how Corbin essentially said, hope you beat leukemia, but don't come back to WWE. And so people were like, okay, are they going to start a storyline and then they have a match at WrestleMania? And I would have been like, no. Don't do that. Don't do that. I've seen enough Baron Corbin to last me a lifetime. I don't need to see any more of him for a few weeks. And after what happened tonight, it looks like it might be Drew McIntyre and not Corbin. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. So they do their interview, and he's essentially like, okay, so I said this, and yeah, I meant what I said, but good for him. He beat cancer, but I didn't want him to return. I was holding up the fort just fine, and then he comes back and messes things up. So, they were supposed to have a match tonight, and that did not happen. Again, we'll talk about that a little bit later. Then that leads us to the next thing. We have Ronda Rousey addresses her actions at Fastlane.
Yeah, she calls out, talks about Becky and Charlotte. Says that she would be okay if they turned the match into a handicap match.
Yeah, she said, I'd be embarrassed if I didn't beat them in a second where I didn't even break a sweat. The one thing I have to say about this promo, it sounded so fake. Like, so fake. Just the way she got in the mic, it didn't sound like last week with her Screw the Woo promo, It did not sound like that. It sounded really fake, like super rehearsed, and not very good.
I think she's had too much time to think about the whole thing and isn't really necessarily good at going out with the thought process of having to cut a promo where,
it's just not natural.
Well, that's just it. I think she's better off if they just give her mic and say, here, say what you want to say. Of course, then she might drop some language that
people don't want to hear.
You might just hear nothing with her talking then.
Yeah, it might just be like a silence, and then they finally come back with, mic drop, and then she like beats somebody up, That would be funny.
Yeah, then you have to hope you read lips.
Otherwise, you have no idea. Hope somebody in that crowd is filming what happened.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you're not going to hear any of it.
She just has a problem, with
Hi, Bendy.
She has a problem cutting promos when she has to think about what she's saying.
Yeah.
And not just letting it fly.
She does it better, on her own. She doesn't need a script. And I think she'd be better off that way. I don't know if that promo last week was scripted or if it was, actually her, coming in as this character and, being okay, I'm going to turn heel, I'm going to do what I do best, and I'm going to screw the blue, damn the man, and, this is where I'm laying it out on the line.
I think it was easier for her because, coming from UFC where she could just let it fly, she didn't really have to think about a lot of what she was going to say.
Yeah.
And tonight, I felt that she had to have more of a scripted thing to say rather than just coming out, and just kind of ripping everybody and letting it go.
Yeah, agreed. So she came out, she talked about that, and then we have Dana Brooke. Dana Brooke comes out, and she says, you know what? I'm not going to let you stand here, rip apart WWE, rip apart our WWE universe, rip apart our women's locker room. I'm not going to let you do that. Week after week, I try and get on TV. I try to have matches on TV. And week after week, I'm denied. And I don't get those opportunities. So you normally do, after every pay-per-view, you do a Raw Women's Championship Open Challenge. Well, guess what? I accept that challenge. And then Ronda Rousey kicks her in the stomach, throws her out the ring, looks as if she's going to put an armbar on her, but then says, you know what? Not going to happen. I wouldn't do this. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to save it for Becky and for Charlotte because I shouldn't be wasting this on her. And then she hits a ref, straight up slaps the ref across the face. Normally it's kind of thing. What they'll do with the ref. This ref got slapped across the face. I was like, oh.
Yeah, then she walks out.
Then she walks out. And I was like, oh, okay. So that was different. While we're sitting here talking about this, the Becky, Charlotte, Ronda stuff, after Raw went off the air last night, there was not Raw. What am I talking about? Whoa. Fastlane. Hold your horses, people. After Fastlane went off the air, there was an interview with Becky Lynch that was put out, essentially talking about how she had earned her opportunity going to WrestleMania. She said, this wasn't the way I wanted, wasn't the way I intended on getting in there, but you know what? I'm in Ronnie's weird little head, and I have, you can obviously tell because she doesn't know what she wants. One minute she wants me in the match, the next minute she doesn't want me in the match, the next minute she does anything to get me in the match, so she came out and punched me in the stomach. Okay, fine by me. I'm in the match, and I'm going to prove that, I'm going to take her title, and I'm going to run her out of WWE, is what she said. And, so, we'll see where that goes. I felt like that promo was so much better than the one that Ronda Rousey cut on TV today.
Well, like I said, she's not real good.
She's not good at promos.
At cutting these types of things. And
the one that Becky Lynch cut, it didn't sound scripted. It sounded like all of that was coming from her being like, the McMahons don't want me in this match. They don't want me at WrestleMania, obviously. As it has been shown, I was suspended, and they brought me back in. So, they obviously didn't want me in the match. They wanted it to be, Ronda and Charlotte, who was handed her opportunities when I had to fight for them. And, it just sounded real. It didn't sound scripted. I don't think it was scripted. I think that was all her, just laying it all out there saying, hey, I'm going to run you out of WWE, and you're never going to want to come back.
Well, and that's where, they need to give a lot of these wrestlers, just give them the basic idea of what they're supposed to talk about, and then just let them go out and cut the promo.
And actually, something else that I find very interesting that she mentioned, she did rip up Ronda Rousey. She talked about how when she went to the Olympics, she was this close, but she didn't make it all the way because there was somebody better than her. Then she goes to, UFC MMA, and she lost her last 2 matches, and she broke down like a piece of glass because she was no longer the top dog. Then she comes to WWE, and she was good for the first couple months until somebody who was better than her came around, who is now the top dog, and she can't handle the heat. So that's when she said that she's going to run out of WWE.
I don't know.
Because she's going to break her.
The thing about Becky Lynch is she's lost a lot of her heat. They've left her on this crutch. They've had her losing. They've had her taking a beating. And then they
haven't had her losing because she hasn't been in any matches. Well, because they haven't put her on TV. But she has taken beatings.
But they've had her look bad.
Yeah.
And so when you do that, last night at Fastlane, I didn't feel that she got a good pop.
Not really, no.
You know, the crowd wasn't really into it.
I think when it comes to WrestleMania, there will be a bigger pop, especially if they put them in the main event, and it is a really big match. Nobody's going to care about what happened at Fastlane. They're only going to care about Ronda Rousey, Charlotte, and Becky in that match.
They have to carry the storyline for the next 3 weeks.
I don't know what they're going to do with it.
I mean, I don't know how you carry it for the next 3 weeks. They've carried it for so long, you know, to this point.
Essentially from the Royal Rumble all the way up to WrestleMania. That's 4 pay-per-views.
And a lot of it has been like with Becky being injured.
90% of the time she hasn't been on TV, so they've cooled her off so much that, you know, people care more about Kofi than they were, like, Kofi's getting the chance that Becky was getting before. Because they're doing the Kofi thing right now.
Well, even Kofi's lost some heat. I mean, you know, the match last night, why are you having him get beat up by 2 guys?
Mind you, I just wanted to tell everybody, during the show, they showed that particular segment quite a few times. Yeah. They showed Kofi getting beat up by the bar. Yeah. And I was like, why? Why are we doing this? Making him look bad. Yep. So then we have Aleister Black and Ricochet versus Bobby Roode and Chad Gable. I straight up said this from the get-go. I said Aleister Black and Ricochet are going to get the win. I know the commentators talked about how if they could win this match, they'd be in the running for another title opportunity. WrestleMania.
3 weeks away. I agree. But if they're going to do it, they need to have just Aleister Black and Ricochet versus the Revival.
Yeah, it's not the way it's going to be, but...
If they have Aleister Black and Ricochet versus Bobby Roode and Gable versus the Revival...
Versus another team.
I was going to say, possibly throwing someone else in there. You know, I've expressed that I absolutely hate when they put titles on the line and throw in, you know, 4 different teams or 4 different individuals in a singles match. It doesn't, it takes away from the title match.
Yeah, it does. So, Aleister Black and Ricochet, they get the win. And so they might be in the running for another title opportunity at the Revival.
Possibly.
I think if they were going to win the titles anywhere, it would probably be WrestleMania.
Yes.
To give them the biggest pop possible.
Yeah, I would agree.
So, then after that, after their match, the Revival attacks Black and Ricochet from behind after their match is over.
Again, you know, they're setting up this match, but are they setting it up to have multiple teams going for the title?
That's the way I see it right now. But the way everything looks, I am thinking it's probably going to be a multi-guy match. I think they're going to fit as many multi-person matches on the card as they possibly can.
Which I don't like.
Because they want to have multiple people getting their WrestleMania moment.
I don't like it.
And this would be where WrestleMania turns into a 12-year show.
Well, it's supposed to be the biggest show of the year. So let's have, you know, championship matches where you're having, you know, individuals facing each other, not 4 guys in a match for a title.
Mm-hmm.
Not
right now. You know, with the way stuff looks, the only singles match that we could see is the Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins.
And they may switch that.
They may.
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked
Who knows if they add Shelton Benjamin or whatever. I mean, come on.
What?
Like, they're pulling people out from left and right, and you're like, what?
I wouldn't be shocked if they brought someone else out.
I was saying Roman Reigns. I said that if they were going to add anybody, that would be the most logical one, would be to add Roman to the match, and then does he win?
Well, and then after tonight, I don't know what they're going to do with him.
I think we'll have a match at Mania. I don't think it'll be for the Universal Championship because I feel like they're not just going to do that. Or they're just not going to do that. So, and again, I'll talk about that in a little bit. But, you know, like I said, multi-person matches seem to be the theme recently. And to get all the guys that they might potentially want to get on the card, you know, would mean they'd have to do a whole bunch of multi-person matches.
Yeah, which I don't like.
So then, next, we have Alexa Bliss, a Moment of Bliss talk show, revealing the host of WrestleMania 35.
I was shocked by the announcement of who was going to be hosting it.
You're being very sarcastic.
Yes.
So I said, oh, Elias would be so cool. Can we have Elias? Let's do a petition for that, people. Let's get Elias to be the host of WrestleMania 36. Let's make that happen like right now. Let's agree to that and have Elias host WrestleMania 36.
We need to put that out on Twitter.
After every match, he comes out, he sings his song, and says, you know, he rips on whatever just happened and is like, well, you know, up next we got this, and this, and by the way, this town sucks, and there's my song, and here's your match, you know. I think that would be hilarious.
Yeah, I think so too.
So she announces, well, we said Elias would be really cool. Hulk Hogan was an idea for a second, but then I was like, well, I haven't been using him at all, so probably not. And then I was like, or she's going to announce herself. Well, lo and behold, she sits there, she goes, you know, we've had many, many hosts of WrestleMania, from Kim Kardashian to The Rock to New Day, and guess what? Guess who our host is? And then they play a little 5-second video, and it goes, your host of WrestleMania 35 is Alexa Bliss. And I was like, shock, shock, surprise, surprise.
Yeah, I wasn't
We
shocked
have nothing better to do with her in the ring, so we are just going to make her the host of WrestleMania. Sounds excellent. Sounds great. More than excellent. Wonderful. Splendiferous. I mean, I don't even know, like, what is the purpose?
Well, they can't have her. I mean, right now, they seem to be keeping her out of wrestling, so.
There's been talk that she has another injury, but I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, it's.
Some people are saying she's injured. Some people are saying that they're literally just not doing anything with her right now. So, I mean, who knows at this point what the deal is with Alexa?
Yeah.
Anybody have any thoughts? Because I sure don't. Ooh, shocker.
I see Bendy's shocked by it.
Shocker. Yeah, very much so. So she announces that she's the host of WrestleMania. And then we go backstage to an interview with Braun Strowman talking about the Saturday Night Live guys who were on Raw last week, who are going to be correspondents at WrestleMania. You know, he talks about, you know, he talks about them for a minute. And then the same guy who comes up to Kofi when they were telling Kofi, hey, you're wanted because Vince wants to talk to you about the WWE Championship.
Let's just call him the messenger.
Yeah, I like that, the messenger. He comes up to him and he goes, Braun, we have a, looks like this talk show garbage they've been doing with her has been leading up to this.
I agree.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I think so.
Well, I kind of like her talk show when they don't cut it off by, 15 people.
Hey, look at the bright side, Dad. This is the first night that she did not get interrupted by anybody.
Well, that's because
Elias should have interrupted her.
They That would have been funny.
That would have been hilarious.
That would have been real funny.
Elias should have interrupted and been like, excuse me? Why am I not the host of WrestleMania?
Yeah.
I'm out here every week working my butt off. Why am I not the host? I'm better than you are. You know what? I'm taking it a step further. I'm interrupting you. That normally doesn't happen. I'm the one who gets interrupted. Here's a taste of what I get every single week.
Walk with Elias.
It would have been so funny if they'd done that. Oh, man, come on. That would have been hilarious. So Braun Strowman, he gets told by the same guy who told Kofi about the WWE Championship thing that he has a car outside waiting for him. And he's like, a car? What? And then we cut to commercial break, and we come back, and Braun Strowman is in the back with a car, a really nice car. It's red, and it was a really nice car. Probably expensive. And he looks at it, and there's a note in the dashboard, and it's from the Saturday Night Live guys, and it says, here's a gift for dealing with us last week. And he looks at the car, he looks at the interviewer person, and he goes, you know what? I'll see them at WrestleMania. Or, I'll be at WrestleMania, they'll be at WrestleMania. I will see them in New York. And so I'm assuming we're going to probably have some cheesy match with Braun Strowman and the SNL people.
Here's a thought. What if the SNL people are just part of the act and everything, and it ends up being Bray Wyatt that comes back?
That's a thought. That's interesting.
I think it would make it interesting.
I feel like if we're gonna, man, SNL still a thing. Who knew? There was talk that Bray Wyatt was gonna return at Fastlane, and then he didn't. And so, I mean, no bigger stage you can do it on than WrestleMania. So why not?
Well, with the matches that they've given Braun Strowman lately,
they're not good.
No, they're not. And if they have him wrestle these two clowns from SNL, then they've completely and totally made Braun Strowman a joke.
Literally, I was watching old matches that Braun Strowman was in today, and I was like, he was such a monster. They ruined him. Ruined him. You know? What are you doing? He's one of the bigger guys on the roster. He was getting shots at titles, and then he wasn't. What is the purpose? Please tell me what the purpose of that was. You give him a push, and then you're like, oh, sorry, we're going to take that away now. You were a big star, but now we're going to treat you like a joke.
Yeah.
Makes no sense to me at all. So that's a good idea. I think, there's a lot of people who could return. I mean, we have Sami Zayn, we have Bray Wyatt. In this instance, Bray Wyatt would make the most sense. So I think something like that needs to happen. Where we see somebody return.
There's an instant storyline there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've had a history. So
yeah,
you have a storyline right there.
And Luke Harper just returned this weekend to live events.
Yes.
And so maybe they bring the Wyatt family back together. Maybe they join Daniel Bryan.
I think it would be cool if they brought the Wyatt family back, just because of their entrances.
Yeah.
You need that dark, edgy type thing.
There's no Undertaker now. And speaking of Undertaker, he's still not scheduled for any WrestleMania matches yet. So, I mean, this may be the first WrestleMania in a long time that we don't see the Undertaker at.
He's not coming. He won't be at WrestleMania. Mark it down. He won't be at WrestleMania.
How funny. The only piece of Undertaker that will be there will be us recapping it, and it'll be Dad's shirt. That's as close to the Undertaker as we're going to get.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, we don't have him down yet for Mania. Bray Wyatt needs to make a return sometime. Sami Zayn needs to make a return sometime. I mean, there's a lot they could do.
See, here is the problem that I have with this whole WrestleMania thing and them trying to get as many people involved as possible. Why?
To give everybody their moment.
Okay, but you could have, they have so many pay-per-views They could spread
But
out.
WrestleMania is the biggest one, and so everybody's like, okay, if I'm on WrestleMania, that means I've made it. So, they're like, okay, well, let's put as many guys as we possibly can on WrestleMania, the biggest show of the year, where we're going to have the most people watching so they can see all the talent that we have. So, all right, we're going to turn this match into 4 guys, this match into 6 guys, that one into a ladder match for the Intercontinental title, and there'll be 8 guys in that one. We have our triple threat women's match. We have the only singles match we got right now. Well, actually, we have 2 singles matches, technically. We have the Brock Lesnar Seth Rollins right now. That's a singles match. We have a new match that was announced tonight. Actually, we have 2 more singles matches. Well, not necessarily. But 2 more that are, gonna be singles. That were made up tonight.
Yeah.
So, it's a lot. It would be a lot of multi-guy matches,
which I don't like. It's why have, and it's going to be a 12-hour pay-per-view.
It's going to be a 12-hour pay-per-view. Yeah. You just kind of have to pick and choose who you want to put on the show.
That's what I think they need to do, is just pick and choose who they're going to put on the show.
And people right now are saying
with
as many matches as they would have, and as much focus as they're putting into some stuff, with the SmackDown Women's Championship match, that probably wouldn't even be on the main card. It'd be on the pre-show because it's going to be an overlooked match that nobody's going to want to see. But then they're going to put some other dumb match that should be on the pre-show on the main card, and then it's going to be really? Make any sense to you at all? No.
Well, they're going to have to start this at noon and end at noon or at midnight.
Started at noon, ended at noon the next day, so that'll be a full 24 hours of WrestleMania.
Yeah. You know what? I think it would be crazy if they did something like that.
Yeah, it'd be cool. Switch out their guys. It'd be... Oh. It'd be long.
Have a main event every 3 hours.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's interesting. It'd be the longest wrestling show in the history of the world.
Yes.
But it's okay.
We wouldn't be able to stream after it.
No.
If we stayed up and watched it.
No, we would just be tweeting through the whole thing all right, this happened. There you go, guys. Sorry.
We'd have to take a nap.
We're falling asleep. Yeah, that's funny. So then we have Elias. And he comes out and he sings a little song talking about Pittsburgh. It was funny. Per usual. Elias is always funny.
It's funny because he's from Pittsburgh, and yet
he rips on it.
He ripped on Pittsburgh.
It's really funny. So then in the middle of that, we have No Way Jose interrupt him, and Elias attacks him before No Way Jose even gets in the ring. I don't understand what this was for.
It's another match at WrestleMania.
To get No Way Jose out there, I guess. Show off his new hair. It's green, braided. It's pretty cool. He's ripping off Naomi, though. But, it's just kind of a way to get him out there, I suppose.
Yeah.
Wasn't anything special. Then we have the Harlem Heat Hall of Fame announcement. I saw this morning, and I was like, oh, yes. They should have been in the Hall of Fame a long time ago.
I agree.
They were such, a big part of WCW that they should have been in the Hall of Fame a long time ago.
I agree. There's a lot of people that I think should be in the Hall of Fame that aren't in the Hall of Fame.
Well, Booker T was already in there as singles. And so, put him in there again. Just put him in there again. You gotta have Harlem Heat in there. They were so cool.
Yeah. One of the best tag teams ever.
You know what they should have done? You know how they had Sherry with them? For a lot of the time that they were tagging in WCW. They should have done Harlem Heat and then Sensational Sherry with them.
Yeah, they could have done
I understand that Sensational Sherry was already put in singly, but it's no different than what they're doing with DX, where some of those guys have already been inducted in singles, and Booker T has already been inducted in singles, but they're putting them in as Harlem Heat, and so I think it would have been cool to include Sherry in that aspect because she was their manager. And
I think one of the reasons they didn't is because they were big before they had Sherry as a manager.
Well, yeah.
So I mean, I think that's part of why
It's just
you don't
singly.
put her in with them, because they were good before Sherry even got involved.
Involved with them, yeah. And then she got involved with them, and then kind of went from there.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool. I was like, this should have been in a long time ago, no question. So now we have DX, Tori Wilson, Honky Tonk Man, and Harlem Heat.
Probably looking at what, 4 more? 3 more?
3 or 4 more, yeah. And we have 3 weeks left to do that.
Plenty of time.
I'm curious to see who the big headliner is going to be, because they normally announce that last.
And it's tough to get bigger than DX and Harlem Heat.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got to be somebody big.
I mean, in past years, they've had Goldberg, they had Sting, Kevin Nash.
Yeah, I don't know who they put in.
So, I mean, I don't know. I have no clue. No clue. There's been talk that the Hart Foundation is going to go in, and looking at it, it'd be a lot of teams, tag teams this year, because they're just running out of singles competitors.
Which is kind of funny, considering, there's really not a lot of tag teams in WWE right now.
But they're really focusing
At least not a lot that they use.
Yeah, but they're really focusing on, like, the tag team aspect of Hall of Fame this year.
Yes.
Taz was another one that's kind of been thrown around. Maybe he'd be the big headliner, I guess. In my mind, I don't think he would be the big... I wouldn't personally say he's the big headliner for...
Well, and I think the issue
Hall
with
of
him
Fame.
is a lot of people don't know. I mean, he came to the WWE for a little while.
But he was in ECW.
But he was bigger in ECW than he is in WWE.
Yeah.
So having him be your big headliner would be kind of... Not that he doesn't deserve it, but the fact that he was in ECW, and ECW was... ECW was kind of a not mainstream, so to speak.
Yeah. So to me, I feel like that wouldn't be as big of a headliner as somebody else, like DX would.
Yeah.
I think they should have done DX last, personally.
I agree.
Unless the big headliner is like really big, and they have somebody like uber big planned out for that.
Yep.
So, I mean, who knows? I guess we'll just see as we go on. So then we have Lacey Evans, who comes out, per usual. It's a regular spiel every single week. Always. This time she went over to the commentator's desk. And she talked to Corey Graves and Michael Cole. That's who the other commentator is. And she kind of shut Renee Young out. And was like, sorry, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to them. And then she walked back, and then Nia Jax's music hit, because she had a match next. And she then kind of they got in each other's faces. And Nia was like, forget this. I'm not going to deal with you. You're not worth it. And then we have Nia Jax versus Natalya in a match. This was the literal, this wasn't even a match.
No. They just came out. It's another one of those things they do every week, it seems like, where they have this match that ends in no match.
Yeah. Exactly. I don't understand it. But the big thing was they brought Beth Phoenix out with Natalya.
Yeah.
And they then had her come down to ring. Well, Natalya got on the mic and she said, hey, you know what? Obviously, I don't have any friends to back me up. Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
I thought she was my friend, but then she didn't.
Yeah.
She obviously is not. She's shown her true colors, and makes no sense to me as to why she's like that. But then she was like, so I need somebody to have my back, and she brought out Beth Phoenix.
Yep.
And so I 100% see Beth Phoenix and Natalya maybe doing something at Mania with Nia Jax and Tamina, with the way they're playing this out right now.
Yeah. again, this is another one of those where they're doing a lot of, a lot of like dumb stuff.
Yeah.
I just don't understand why, they're doing it the way they're doing it.
Yeah, it makes no sense to me. I think it's cool that they're bringing Beth Phoenix back.
I do too.
She was a big part of, the 2010s ish.
Yeah.
Roughly. She did a lot there. She was the first woman, or she was actually the second woman to enter a men's Royal Rumble, which is cool. And she eliminated somebody, which was cool. So having her show up and get involved in WWE again it's really cool.
I agree. I think that
she adds to the women's division.
She does, but I hope they use it the right way.
Yeah.
And
agreed.
And which I don't have a lot of confidence right now in WWE doing it. Because, going back to Lacey Evans, I think she's going to be a star. Just looking at her, when Nia Jax came out, Nia Jax dwarfs a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I felt that Lacey Evans pretty much looked, not like a small person standing next to her.
Yeah.
So I think she has a lot of potential to be a superstar. It's just a matter of when they're going to start using her.
Yeah.
Like in matches.
Exactly.
And not just walking out and waving at everybody.
I think it'll be soon. Because if she's going to do something at Mania, then she needs to get in the ring soon.
Yes.
And actually have some matches with people that are televised and that aren't just on live shows.
I agree.
Speaking of live shows real quick, that actually reminded me that I saw somewhere on Twitter that apparently Becky Lynch was at a live show, and I don't know who she was fighting, but she came out and she didn't have a crutch.
Yeah.
Which is news to me, because she came out last night on crutches. So, well, on a crutch. So, and she put out a tweet today saying, I hate that crutch. And people underneath were like, dude, get rid of it. Like, why are you even still using it? And so, maybe we're getting ready to look at her just drop the crutch entirely and have her get in the ring and be like, you know what? Screw this. I'm done using this. I'm just going to get in the ring. Whether my knee is screwed up or not, hit me with your best shot, Bring it.
Yes.
So, we'll see where that goes.
She needs to get rid of the crutch.
100%, yes.
She should have got rid of it way before now.
Yeah. They were playing that injury thing up, a lot. And she looked pitiful.
Yes, definitely.
So, Natalya, she comes out the mic. She talks about Beth Phoenix. She brings her out. They come down to the ring. And then, Natalya gets hit upside the head. And then Beth Phoenix just hops in the ring and, beats up Nia Jax. Not even... I don't even know why. So she got in the ring. She beat him up. And then the match was over. And it ended with, no winner.
Yeah, I don't understand the point of matches like this.
Yeah.
They seem to just kind of take away from the evening.
Yeah. But I think the big thing after this, aside from Beth Phoenix being brought out, was that we had Sasha and Bayley backstage, and they beat up Nia and Tamina as they walked back.
Yeah, and I think that's part of why they're trying to build up this tag team division for the women.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're trying to build up for the WrestleMania match.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's the big reason that you're seeing some of that.
Yeah. Agreed. So then we have Batista. Batista showed up on... Well, he shows up in a car and he comes out. He has 2 cars that come in. And we're like, who's this? And Batista comes out and he has 50 security guys around him. And then we get to the Triple H and Batista face-to-face.
Okay, before you go any farther, this was dumb.
Agreed.
Why do it this way?
I don't know.
Okay, so I'm just going to speed through this part. Because Batista comes out, has all these bodyguards, and he's standing there telling Triple H, hey, you know what I want. And Triple H is like, yeah, okay.
He's like, give me what I want. Give me what I want.
And Batista,
give me what I want. Give me what I want. Give me what I want. And he said that about 50 times. And Hunter's like, no, I'm not going to do it that way. Fight for it.
And then he talks about how I'm going to continue to hurt, you and your family members until you give me what I want. People you care for.
You care for and you love.
And so, the whole thing was kind of pointless, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Because Batista wanted Hunter at WrestleMania. Hunter wants to just get at Batista at any time. So they could have just done, hey, well, I think agreed, Bendy. I think it was just to kill time. That's what I think it was.
Yeah.
So they killed 15 minutes of going back and forth over nothing.
And it almost made it sound like Triple H didn't know what Batista wanted. You know what I mean? Where he was like, okay, you know what I want, give it to me. Give me what I want. Give it, I want. And, like, Hunter kept saying, no, we're not going to do that. This is going to go this way. So maybe he was like, oh, well, he wants something else. But then he's like, I want my match with you, or I want a match with you at WrestleMania. And so he's like, okay, you want me at Mania? You want me at Mania? That's what you want? Fine. I'll give it to you. And then he goes on to say, thank you. That's all I wanted, to end my career on my terms. And while I'm there, I'm going to end your career too.
Okay, so do you see, like, a common storylines happen here? Do you? Think about it. Yes, they could have wrapped this whole storyline up tonight. But then they wouldn't have had a big match at WrestleMania, so, and everybody wants to wrestle at WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. So I understand why they're going to hold it out. But the fact...
like 10 minutes.
Like 10 minutes, I agreed. Batista comes out and he basically says that this is my last match. And so, give me what I want. Okay.
He was like, I want to end my career on my terms, and I'm going to end your career too.
So we have Dean Ambrose leaving. We have Batista coming out for one match. And I'll just go ahead and spoil the next segment. Kurt Angle comes out and says that his last match
for good
is at WrestleMania. We have no clue about Ronda Rousey, whether she's going to.
But it looks as if though she's probably leaving.
So, why are they doing this with Batista?
Yeah, I mean they brought him in, but for him to then just turn around and say, "I want to end my career on my terms, and I want a match with you at WrestleMania." Like, does that make any sense?
No, it doesn't.
It's everybody's last match at WrestleMania.
I think so. WWE's going to close down after WrestleMania.
No, they won't.
It'll be everybody's last match.
No, they won't. They'll still have Kofi, who will become the champ, and they'll still have Becky Lynch, who will become the champ, and the division will be fine. Just live off of that,
Kofi will get to wrestle Becky every week.
Just imagine that, though. Every week, all right, it's for the championship. All right, this week, Kofi, you're going to be the Raw Women's Champion, and we're going to have Becky win your WWE Championship. So, she's the man. Give her the man's match,
I guess.
That would be hilarious.
Everybody's wrestling their last match, so.
That's funny. So then Triple H goes on to say, you know what, I want to do it without any rules, without anything. And so it's a no-holds-barred match. So we're going to see that at WrestleMania. We knew it was coming. We knew there was going to be a Batista Triple H match at Mania.
Yeah, you knew it was coming.
I mean, as soon as he came down and he attacked Ric Flair, you knew. What are they saving for after Mania?
We'll see.
The downfall of Ronda Rousey? I don't know.
We'll see what kind of storylines they start to create at Mania.
Well, because then
or
they
leading
have
up
SummerSlam.
to Mania.
Well, then I think they're switching pay-per-views around, so then it'll be Money in the Bank, and then it'll be SummerSlam. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. I think that's what I read somewhere, is that they were going to switch it. Backlash and Money in the Bank.
Yeah. Well, they kind of started to build this Drew McIntyre with the feud with the Shield. So, I mean, that could be something that takes in after Mania.
Yeah. But who knows? So then we get on to Kurt Angle, addressing his future. Again, he did this 2 weeks ago. And we didn't get anywhere. He had a match. And, that was that. But this week, he came out. He was like, I was waiting to tell you this here in my hometown. My last match will be at WrestleMania. I am retiring after WrestleMania. Against who? I don't know yet.
Again, look what they did. They put it at WrestleMania.
There was talk about doing this for quite some time.
Okay, but he's going to be a lower card match.
Mm-hmm.
So, why didn't they have Kurt Angle, Apollo Crews, or Kurt Angle, whoever they're going to put in the match with him, be the main event for tonight and have him close it out at home?
I don't know. Again, trying to give everybody their WrestleMania moment.
I guess.
To have him maybe get a big win at Mania?
That's...
I saw somewhere after this, I was looking through Twitter, and they were like, John Cena. Forget John Cena and R-Truth. This John Cena and Kurt Angle would make more sense to close out Kurt Angle's career because they had such a long rivaled feud.
Yeah, I mean...
So people are like, well... I mean, they could still do the R-Truth thing, but it would make more sense now with the Kurt Angle, this is my last match, it's happening at Mania. It would make more sense to do it with that now, which I agree.
The whole WrestleMania thing, giving everybody their match at WrestleMania just doesn't make sense.
So right now, what does the card look like at WrestleMania?
I don't know, but it's your biggest pay-per-view. You should have your biggest wrestlers wrestling at that pay-per-view. Not everybody. And I feel that that's kind of where they're headed, is to get everybody involved.
Yeah.
And I understand it's your biggest pay-per-view, so make it your biggest pay-per-view. Make a big deal out of it by having your big matches at WrestleMania. Not we're going to throw together, this triple threat match or
how many
this...
big wins does he need tonight? He had his hometown win today. I mean... Yeah, he did. He won. Well, then we have Apollo Crews versus Kurt Angle, and he won. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they don't have him win at Mania, but it wouldn't make any sense to me if that was his last match and he's going out. It would make no sense to me for him not to win.
I agree. But why, like tonight, why did they have him wrestle Apollo Crews?
I have no idea.
Unless, he talked about Apollo Crews, looked up to him and things like that.
To give Apollo Crews his big
maybe
win
Apollo Crews, said, hey, and I don't know if they've ever wrestled, but maybe Apollo Crews said, hey, I look up to you, and so I would like to have one match with you before you retire.
Yeah, potential. That's potentially why they did that.
Because Apollo Crews hasn't been around anywhere.
No.
So...
Yeah, so who knows? I think John Cena is the most credible at this point for WrestleMania to do Kurt Angle, because I don't know of anybody else who, I mean, they might throw Baron Corbin in there just to get Baron Corbin on the card, but y'all know I don't want to see that. I've seen enough Baron Corbin.
Well, you didn't really...
to last me a lifetime.
Yeah, and you really didn't see him tonight.
No, he was supposed to have a match, but then he didn't, which is actually next. So it was supposed to be Roman Reigns versus Baron Corbin in the main event, and it was like 9:30ish after this match got over, and I was like, "Is this match? It can't go on for 30 minutes, man. That's too long. Too much Baron Corbin." And before the match even got started, Drew McIntyre came out. He attacked Reigns. Baron Corbin hadn't even been out there yet. And then he gets kicked in the head, and then he gets kicked into the ring post. And, he had medical doctors coming out, checking him, making sure he didn't have a concussion or anything, but he wouldn't let them. And Seth Rollins comes out and is like, hey, dude, like, just come back to the room. You can't have your match, so just let's go back. And so
so stop right there. These guys every week come out, smack their head around, flopping around, things like that. You have Roman Reigns get attacked from behind, and all of a sudden now he's got these headaches and concussion symptoms and everything else, and stagger into the back of the arena. Why?
I don't know. Made it look believable though.
He did,
because
but I mean,
he really did get his head like smashed into the ring post, and it didn't look good. Like he went like smack, and then like just straight up fell over.
Well, it didn't look good, but usually if they're hurt really bad, you'll have the medical staff come out with a stretcher and take him back.
I mean, yeah.
They didn't do that.
No. They did have somebody come down with like a flashlight and like check his eyes, and they're like, "Dude, you have a concussion. Like, Roman, can you hear me? Roman." And I thought that was funny. But then Seth Rollins came down and was like, dude, like, did you let him did you check him out? And they're like, no, we haven't checked him out yet. And so Seth just like took him up to the back, and then he was like, he got checked out by medical staff later.
So here's a thought, and this may be, totally crazy. There's been talk of Roman Reigns possibly turning heel. Mm-hmm. What if they use this concussion, amnesia type thing to have him turn?
That's a possibility.
Because then you could always go back.
Different, weird.
It would be. But then you could always go back and, all of a sudden he snaps out of it and he's like, whoa, I just wasn't me. Good thing I ate this Snickers.
Or snap into a Slim Jim.
Yeah.
One of the two. Then have Roman Reigns doing commercials for that. That would be hilarious. I mean, yeah, it's a thought. I never thought about that. It's an interesting thought. They have never done anything like that before.
It'd be different.
It would be different. And so,
And then you could have him snap out of it any time.
It's like Superman.
He's in the middle of a suplex or something against Seth Rollins, and he goes, whoa, what's going on?
It's like a superpower.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm a mean, tough dude, and then, like, get water thrown on me, and I'm like, whoa, I'm back.
Yes.
Batman.
So then...
The match never happens.
Never happens.
We are backstage with Dean, Seth, and Roman, and Seth takes Dean into the medical's office. No. Seth takes Roman into...
Take a step back here, okay? Because I just had another thought. Because of Dean Ambrose's character, Dean Ambrose figures out, let's let Roman have a Snickers. You haven't been yourself. Eat this.
That would be hilarious. That would be so funny. That would be hilarious. Dean Ambrose is just a funny guy in general, so like I feel like that would take the cake for like the greatest ever. That would be funny. Different and D-U-M-B.
Hey.
Dumb.
Why are you calling it dumb, baby?
Don't use that word in our chat.
Jeez. Trying to create a storyline here.
Yeah, we're trying to be WWE writers. We're trying to do a better job than
watch,
you do.
Bendy, watch. It's what's going to happen.
You seem to be right 90% of the time, so...
I don't think the Snickers things will happen, but I think it'd be cool.
But you are right about stuff 90% of the time, which is, good for you.
If they do that, I'm going to turn in my Roman Reigns fan club card.
That's funny.
That's funny.
So, Seth takes Roman into the medical office place and gets him checked out. And Dean then runs into Hunter, who's backstage, Triple H, and he says, you know what, I want Drew. I want Drew in the ring right now. I want it to be no disqualification, no count out, false count anywhere. Make it happen. And Triple H says, sure, I'll go tell Drew. You go out there and you get ready. And so then we have that match. Drew McIntyre versus Dean Ambrose, false count anywhere. Can you guess who won? Drew McIntyre.
Yeah.
It was I thought he put up a good fight. But I think this is what's going to make the Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns thing at WrestleMania be really cool. Because it's taken a personal turn where he is...
But if they play the concussion angle, I mean, in all reality, Roman Reigns couldn't come back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know either. I mean, they could go two different ways. They could go with the concussion angle, or they could go with the personal turn where, you know, he's fighting for Dean because, you know, he messed with his brother and he wants revenge.
I agree.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So I mean, it's two different. They could go two different ways. With it, I think the more logical way would be to do the it's personal because he messed with Dean.
Yeah. I mean,
after watching the beating that he took, you know.
Yeah.
I think it would make more sense that way.
Yeah, definitely.
So, you know, it's just we'll kind of just have to see how it plays out. I mean, again, there are 3 weeks until WrestleMania.
Yes.
And so we have a lot more stuff that they can build.
Well, there's a lot of things they could do.
And they have a lot of time to do it.
Well, again, the only issue I have with all of this is the fact that they're trying to put too many wrestlers in WrestleMania.
Yeah. They
need to simplify matches.
Yeah. And see, I don't mind having a big pay-per-view with lots of matches and stuff, but like when you start getting into every other match is a multi-guy match.
Yeah.
Is where it gets difficult. Definitely.
It does. I mean, that's
where it drags the matches on a lot longer because there are a lot more guys in it.
Well, and that's what I dislike about this whole idea of having all of these guys and ladies in like like tag teams, having 4 tag teams or 3 tag teams for the title, and then like 4 people wrestling for the title, you know. Yeah. And some of that can be eliminated by eliminating some titles. Yeah. Which we've talked about. I think that, you know, do more cross promotion between NXT, SmackDown, and Raw, and NXT UK, and even throw 205 Live in there because there's some good guys down in 205 Live.
Well, and remember, we do have a cruiserweight match that will happen, probably on the pre-show, just because that's the way they roll in WWE.
Well, the cruiserweight match needs to happen. There's some good cruiserweights.
Well, the cruiserweight match is going to happen because they have their tournament for the #1 contender.
Well, I know it's going to happen, but it's a matter of whether it's going to be on the main show or.
I personally think it should be on the main show.
But I mean, if anybody has watched 205 Live,
at least Buddy Murphy's in the match. It should be on the main card. Buddy Murphy is such a good 205 Live guy. Like, he should be on the main roster. The only thing that is keeping him on 205 Live is his size. That's it.
But he's no smaller than Mustafa Ali.
Or Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
So it's like
not
you're telling me.
It's just
you're telling me that Rey Mysterio and Mustafa Ali came from 205 Live. And you're telling me that Buddy Murphy can't be on the main show?
Well,
are you kidding?
You know, I agree, and I think that they could have some of those guys, you know, come up and participate at the main roster. Yeah. And they'd be fine. Yeah. You know?
And I don't understand why they don't do that, because Buddy Murphy is so good. And he could have good storylines with some of the guys that they have up on the main roster right now. You know?
I agree.
So, I don't questionable.
Well, if you've watched, any of the 205 Live, you have several different guys there that are solid.
Yeah.
I'm trying to Humberto Carrillo.
Mm-hmm. He's really good. Drew Gulak.
I had to look him up because I couldn't remember his name.
Drew Gulak.
He's solid, and he's a rookie, so he's
he
gonna go nowhere
came
but up.
in. He literally just came in, and Drew Gulak, he's really good. He's been between NXT and 205 Live recently. So there are so many guys down there that are so good that should go up to the main roster, but they aren't, which is sad.
Well, I'm hoping, if NXT ends up getting their own show, on Fox or whatever the case may be, then I'm hoping that they use some of those 205 Live guys on NXT more.
Mm-hmm.
And, do some of that. And pull the 205 Live up in place of NXT on WWE Network.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now, having it after SmackDown, I don't know if I really like that.
Well, because you just got done watching a show for 2 hours, from 7 to 9, and then you have 205 Live for another hour, which then pushes you out to 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
How many people really are going to want to go and watch that after
and then
SmackDown
2 nights in a row
done?
where you have 3 hours of wrestling.
Yeah.
And then especially after coming off a big pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm. Nobody's going to want to watch that. So, I think that is actually everything for tonight. The Harlem Heat Hall of Fame announcement was pretty big. We have Batista and Triple H at Mania. Kurt Angle, his last match, he will no longer wrestle. We're starting something with Drew McIntyre and not Baron Corbin, sorry. Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns. Starting something with that. And so,
Yeah.
I think stuff has a lot of potential. They just have to build stuff up.
Yeah, and hopefully, some of the stuff gets built up.
Mm-hmm.
And, it is what it is.
Yeah. Wondering if we'll see Demon Finn Balor come back to go for his IC title.
Yeah.
Because I think that would be cool.
Definitely.
So, we'll see.
We
will see how it goes over the next 3 weeks leading into WrestleMania.
Yep.
I mean, really, that's about it.
That's
all you can do.
Yep, definitely. A reminder: we stream every Monday every Monday night after Raw, every Tuesday after SmackDown, every Wednesday after NXT, after every pay-per-view, and then we'll throw some shows in here every now and then if there's news. And we will also stream before a pay-per-view, generally the Friday before, but it could be the Saturday before. We will do NXT TakeOver.
Yep.
And
Hall of Fame coming up. We'll do that too.
We'll do a Hall of Fame show. Probably tie our Hall of Fame show into our predictions and things for Mania.
Yeah. There isn't a lot to talk about there. It's just kind of who's going in and, maybe talk about some of their career highlights and what they've done.
I mean, we come up with something.
Yeah, so.
Make sure you subscribe, hit that bell so you know when we are going to be live. Other than that, got anything else?
No, I don't think so.
You can follow us on Twitter.
Oh, yeah, Twitter. You can follow us on Twitter.
You can follow us at the Wrestle Story. I am Mr. _Gleen.
And I am at Maven Gleen. So, we'll be back tomorrow for SmackDown.
All right.
So, see you guys later.
Later.
Bye.